Admiral Zexathari of the Vorthak Empire studied the tactical display with 4 of his 6 eyes, while the remaining 2 tracked the nervous movements of his bridge crew. The holographic projection showed their massive fleet of 800 warships arranged in perfect battle formation, facing the pitiful human force of merely 70 vessels. "The humans refuse our final ultimatum," reported his communications officer, tentacles writhing with barely contained excitement. "They maintain their position around the colony world." Zexathari's mandibles clicked in what passed for amusement among his species. The humans had colonized Kepler 442b, despite the Vorthak Empire's clear territorial claims. When diplomacy failed, the Empire had done what it always did, assembled an overwhelming force to crush the upstart species. "Curious creatures, these humans," he mused to his second-in-command. "Their vessels are primitive, their numbers laughable, yet they refuse to yield." What Zexathari didn't know, what none of the Vorthak knew, was that humanity had spent the last 3 centuries hoping this day would never come. Aboard the human flagship Defiance, Captain Sarah Chen stood before the tactical display, her weathered hands clasped behind her back. The weight of 7 billion human lives on Kepler 442b pressed down on her shoulders like gravity itself. "Admiral, we're receiving updates from the other defense fleets," reported her XO, Commander Torres. "The Centauri group is holding position, and the Sol reinforcements are 12 hours out." Chen nodded grimly. 12 hours they didn't have. The Vorthak had been expanding through this sector for 2 decades, consuming entire civilizations. The galactic community had pleaded with them, negotiated with them, offered tribute. Nothing worked. The Vorthak understood only one language. "Open a channel to all ships," Chen ordered. The view screen flickered to life, showing the faces of 70 ship commanders, men and women from across human space, united in this desperate moment. "2 days ago, we were teachers, engineers, farmers, scientists," Chen began, her voice steady. "We never wanted this war. We came to the stars to explore, to learn, to build better lives for our children, but the Vorthak have made it clear that our choice is simple: fight or die." She paused, meeting each captain's gaze through the screen. "Today we remind the galaxy why Earth's children carry the blood of warriors. Not because we love war, but because we love what's worth fighting for. All ships implement Protocol Omega. Show them what happens when you threaten humanity's home." The Vorthak attack came like a crimson tide. Their massive dreadnoughts surged forward, plasma cannons charging with devastating energy. Zexathari watched with satisfaction as his overwhelming numbers closed the distance. Then the humans did something unexpected. Instead of forming a traditional battle line, the human ships scattered like startled fish. But this wasn't retreat, it was strategy. Each vessel became a single point of focused aggression, using their superior maneuverability to slice through Vorthak formations like surgical knives. The human ship Prometheus dove beneath a Vorthak cruiser, its hull scraping the enemy's shields as it unleashed a concentrated barrage directly into the vessel's reactor. The explosion lit up space like a newborn star. Harbinger executed a maneuver that should have been impossible. A 90-degree turn at full combat speed, its crew enduring crushing G-forces that would have killed most other species. The ship emerged from the turn directly behind a Vorthak destroyer, weapons blazing. "How are they moving like that?" Zexathari's tactical officer chittered in disbelief. Their ships should be torn apart by those accelerations. What the Vorthak couldn't understand was that humans had evolved on a death world. Earth's gravity was crushing, its weather violent, its predators relentless. Every human aboard those ships carried the genetic legacy of survivors. Beings who had crawled from primordial oceans, survived ice ages, and reached for the stars despite 1,000 reasons to stay buried in caves. The battle became a symphony of controlled chaos. Human ships danced through the Vorthak formations, their crews pushing technology and flesh beyond all reasonable limits. Where Vorthak strategy relied on overwhelming firepower and numerical superiority, humans brought something far more dangerous: improvisation, born of desperation. Captain Maria Santos of the Indomitable found herself facing 3 Vorthak frigates simultaneously. Instead of retreating, she ordered her ship directly into the asteroid field behind them. The Vorthak followed, confident in their superior numbers. 20 minutes later, only the Indomitable emerged, battered but victorious. Santos had used the asteroids as both shields and weapons, triggering controlled impacts that devastated her pursuers, while her crew manually calculated firing solutions in 3-dimensional space. Aboard the Vorthak flagship, Admiral Zexathari watched his tactical display with growing alarm. His 8-to-1 numerical advantage was rapidly evaporating. These humans fought like beings possessed, using tactics that defied conventional military doctrine. "Sir," his communications officer reported, voice trembling, "we're receiving surrender requests from 17 of our ships. They're requesting permission to withdraw." Surrender? The word was almost unknown in Vorthak vocabulary. They were the conquerors, the inevitable tide that swept away lesser species. Yet here they were, being systematically dismantled by a force 1/10 their size. The tide turned completely when the human reinforcements arrived. 73 additional ships dropped out of hyperspace, not the pristine vessels of a traditional navy, but converted freighters, mining ships, even luxury yachts bristling with improvised weapons. Each one carried civilians who had volunteered for this desperate fight. Dr. Elizabeth Harper, a xenobiologist who had never fired a weapon in anger, found herself manning the guns on the converted research vessel Carl Sagan. She thought of her daughter on Kepler 442b as she targeted a Vorthak fighter, her scientific training helping her calculate the perfect firing solution. The battle's end came suddenly. Admiral Zexathari, watching his fleet crumble around him, finally understood what the galaxy's other species had tried to warn him about. Humans didn't just fight. They fought with the desperate creativity of a species that had clawed its way to the top of evolution's ladder through pure, bloody-minded determination. "Admiral," his tactical officer whispered, "our remaining ships are requesting immediate withdrawal to Vorthak space." Zexathari looked at the tactical display one final time. Of his 800 ships, fewer than 200 remained combat effective. The humans had lost 37 vessels, a devastating blow for them, but a complete strategic victory. "Signal retreat," he ordered, his voice heavy with defeat, "and send a message to High Command. Tell them the humans are different. They don't fight like any species we've encountered. They fight like they have nothing left to lose." As the surviving Vorthak ships limped away into hyperspace, Captain Chen stood on the bridge of the Defiance, surrounded by the debris of the largest space battle in human history. Her crew was exhausted, her ship damaged, but Kepler 442b was safe. "Captain," Commander Torres said quietly, "we're receiving messages from across the galaxy. 17 different species are requesting formal alliance treaties with humanity." Chen nodded slowly. Word would spread quickly. Humanity had faced down the Vorthak Empire and won. Not through superior technology or overwhelming numbers, but through the simple, terrifying truth that when pushed to the brink, humans fought with a ferocity that defied comprehension. She thought of her words before the battle. "We never wanted war." It was true. Humanity had come to the stars seeking knowledge, beauty, and peaceful coexistence. But when forced to choose between extinction and warfare, they had proven something that would echo across the galaxy for generations. Nothing in the known universe fought better than a human with something to protect. The age of human expansion through exploration was over. The age of human protection through strength had begun.